Hi, everybody. This is your library media specialist, Mrs. Martin, and I'm here to do your book talk for the month of October. I'm excited to be giving a book talk, even though it is not in person. I hope that this is an enjoyable way to hear about some great books that are in our library. The idea behind giving these book talks is for me to share some things about some of the great books that are in our library or in our ebook Mac and Via app. Hopefully some of these books are books that sound great to you. Some of them won't be your style, and that's okay. But with each of the books that I share, I will be talking about the book and sharing the title, the author. I'll show a picture of the book cover and also the genre for each book so that you get an idea of some of the information about each of the titles that I'm talking about. And that way it would be a book you could add to your reading list, whether it's a book that you decide you're going to read now or later or recommend to someone else. So today I believe I'm sharing with you 8 different titles, and I'm also going to give a couple little bits of information about the library when I'm done with those. So let's dive right in. The first book I'm sharing with you this morning is Ungifted by Gordon Korman. He's one of my favorites to share, especially with 6th and 7th graders who love funny books. He's just a master of writing this kind of story. And this book is about a kid named Donovan Curtis. Donovan has never been called gifted in his life. That's not a word people would use to describe him. He's definitely more of a prankster, and he pulls one prank too many at his middle school, gets himself in the principal's office. The principal has decided they've had enough and signs Donovan up for detention. Unfortunately for the principal, the paperwork gets shuffled up, and Donovan, instead of ending up in detention, winds up in a gifted and talented program instead, a program for academically distinguished students. Donovan cannot believe his luck. He's so excited. Not only is he not in trouble, he's now hanging out with the smartest, genius-level kids, and he figures what better prank on earth than to trick a bunch of really smart kids into thinking he's also that smart. And at first he thinks he has them fooled, but he realizes pretty quickly it's really difficult to do. There's all kinds of funny scenes in this book, everything from a very unforgettably dramatic middle school dance to a robot experiment that almost goes wrong. Check this one out. It's called Ungifted, and we also have the sequel in our library if you've read this one. And the sequel is called Super Gifted. Gordon Korman's the author, and it's found in our humor section. Our next book is Pax by Sarah Pennypacker. This is in our adventure section. This is perfect for animal lovers and students who love a good adventure, or if you love a friendship story. This is told in alternating chapters. Some are written from the perspective of our main character, Peter, and the others are told from the perspective of his pet fox, Pax. Peter and Pax are best friends and have been ever since Peter rescued Pax from being abandoned as a young kit. Peter and Pax have spent so much time together that Pax is really in tune with Peter's feelings. And one day they're riding in the car together, and Pax can't quite figure out why Peter is upset. He can tell that Peter is because Peter's crying. They go out into a forest clearing, and Peter and Pax get out of the car, and Peter pulls from his pocket one of these army men tools that you can see, toys, that you can see up on my screen. And Pax thinks, great, this is the game that we're used to playing. Peter throws the toy, Pax runs to go catch it, brings it back in his mouth, but the moment he turns around to bring it back to Peter, Peter is gone. Peter and his dad have left in the car, and Pax is left in the forest alone. Peter's dad is headed off to war, and Peter's going to live with his grandpa, and Grandpa has said no foxes are coming to live at Grandpa's house. Peter's devastated. Pax doesn't know what's going on. He hasn't lived in the wild for so long, and now he's without his best friend. Well, Peter makes it through not even one night at Grandpa's before he decides he has to go back and find his best friend. This is the story of the two of them finding each other again, and so much more. It's a beautiful story. Pax by Penny Packer. Football Genius by Tim Green, terrific sports writer. This one has kind of a fun element of not quite reality, because 12-year-old Troy, our main character, has a gift that I can't quite imagine, but boy, wouldn't it be fun. He can predict any football play before it happens. He's watching it on screen, and he can predict what's going to happen before it actually does. His mom gets a job working for the Atlanta Falcons, and Troy sees this as an opportunity to show the team what he can do. The Falcons are not doing well as a team, and he decides if he can convince them that he has this skill, this talent, he can make a difference, and his mom can make a difference, and the two of them together can really help this team, come alive, have a winning season. Troy and his best friends devise this plan to get the attention of this star linebacker, and they hope that with the linebacker's help and Troy's genius at being able to predict these plays, the Falcons are going to come to life again. Read this book to find out what exactly happens in Football Genius by Green. Lots of sports action in this book. Some of you have maybe already read this book or this series, or maybe seen the movies, and boy, the books are better. Percy Jackson is a good kid, but he can't seem to focus on schoolwork. He's got a temper he's having a hard time controlling. His mom is pretty fed up with that and has decided that getting away to boarding school is maybe the only thing for him to do. When he's there, though, things aren't going so hot there either. Percy could have sworn he saw his math teacher turn into a monster and try to kill him. And his mom decides maybe he needs to find out once and for all where exactly he came from. She sends him to summer camp, Camp Half-Blood, which is the camp for demigods. And he learns there that his father is Poseidon, god of the sea. From there, he meets a bunch of friends who are somewhat like himself, also a lot different, and they set out on a quest to prevent a war between the gods. If you like mythology, if you like humor, this is a great fantasy series. The Lightning Thief is book 1 by Rick Riordan. One for the Murphys by Linda Mullally Hunt in realistic fiction. Just a lovely story, one that's going to tug at your heartstrings a little bit. 12-year-old Carly is a tough cookie. She has been through a lot. Her mom has kind of taken her up and down the emotional roller coaster living in Las Vegas, and she has now been bounced into the foster care system due to some decisions her mom's made. She doesn't really think happy families exist because her family situation has not been that. And when she gets lined up with the Murphys, she figures there's no possible way she can fit in. It's a family with 3 sons. She gets some bad feelings from a couple of the boys. 2 of them are kind of trying to make her feel good about being there. One of them is clearly not happy that she's a part of their family. Mrs. Murphy, though, the mom, really seems to make her feel seen and heard for the very first time. It's very clear Mrs. Murphy wants Carly to feel like she is part of the family. And over time, Carly starts to feel that way. Some drama comes into the story that I don't want to give away for you, though. And even as Carly is starting to feel like she's part of things, some problems crop up and make it a challenge for her. This is just a really neat story, though, of realistic fiction. And if you like one of those books that takes some of those twists and turns, pick this one up. One for the Murphys by Hunt. Since we are in the month of October and looking to, that spooky season, I always like to share a good ghost story. Mary Downing Hahn is a terrific author to write down. She has lots of books that are kind of eerie and creepy. And The Ghost of Crutchfield Hall is one that is, as you can tell from the cover, just a perfect one for that. This is about Florence, who is living in London. She has boarded a coach, so a horse-drawn carriage, looking forward to a new life with her great uncle and aunt, who live in this old manor house in the English countryside. She figures anything is going to be better than being at the orphanage. Her parents have passed away. She's been an orphan for a while, and now she has this family taking her in. What she's not expecting is the ghost of her cousin Sophia, who haunts the rooms of this manor and has some goals of murder. Can Florence stop Sophia before it's too late and convince the others in the household that that's exactly what Sophia is there to do? Read this very quick book, The Ghost of Crutchfield Hall, if you're looking for a spooky mystery story. Lifting as We Climb by Yvette Dion. This one is in our nonfiction section. I've got the call number up there at the top. Just to be aware that once the library is open for you to do some browsing again on the shelves, you'd be looking on our nonfiction shelves and you'd be looking by that number. This is the collection of information about the fight for the right to vote and for African American women during the time of fighting for those rights. It was really only one battle for them. Women trying to get that right to vote, at that time, it was even more difficult for women of color. And reason being, it was not simply that the women were all standing side by side fighting for this right. Women of color were also fighting to be treated as full equal citizens of the United States. So they had more than one concern, more than one issue, more than one thing they were fighting for. When the story of the suffrage movement, the movement to vote for women in the United States is told, the most familiar leaders and participants in the marches that are being written about or being pictured are generally white. And that is not the real story. That's not all of the truth. It's not the truth. It's only a piece of it. I understand that in your 6th grade English classes, part of what you are talking about, a theme that you're focused on, is what is truth? What is the truth? So this would be a great book to pick up to explore that topic. This idea that sometimes we don't know the whole story, and this would be one little piece of history to dig into. Lifting as We Climb by Yvette Dion, you get a chance to get to know the stories of Ida B. Wells, Mary Church Terrell, Anna Julia Cooper, and others who were activists and educators, founders of some of these different organizations who did not have their voices heard during this movement in the same way that white women did. One more thing I wanted to highlight is in our Mac and Via app, the ebook app, there are tons of good resources and tons of good books to check out. I wanted to just point out this one. It's called Freaky True Science, Freaky Stories About Our Bodies. There are a lot of books in the app that are multi-user, meaning there are books that you can take a look at that everybody could be looking at all at one time. I'm going to highlight just real quickly again by clicking on this link. You can go to your Mac and Via app on your iPad to take a look at these books, or you can always go to our Library Media Center homepage like I'm doing here and go to the District 196 ebooks where it says Mac and Via, and you can click on it there to log in for a book this way. By doing so, just a reminder, even though I'm typing in my name, you guys use your student ID number as your username. And you use your Colab password for your password. And I'm just going to do a quick search on this book. Just wanted to show you that this is one that I can open right here. I can read it on my iPad, on my computer. This is a nonfiction book. It's a real short read. But for those of you that maybe just wanted to take a look and find out some true information, this is about just some kind of unusual stories of people who have had some kind of interesting physical differences. And these books are some that you could take a look at, nonfiction, that there's quite a few of those resources available on Mac and Via too. Couple quick tips before I finish out this book talk. Don't forget to visit the library homepage for resources, information on new books, and updates on what's going on in the library. To get there, you just go to the VMS website, go to the Academics tab at the top, and then to Library Media Center. Please let us know down here in the library, both myself and Mrs. Kump, either by stopping down or by going to Schoology if you have a question. We are here to help, and we love to answer questions. You can be searching the catalog for favorite authors or genres. I shared with you 8 books today, but if you have a favorite author or a favorite genre, that's a great way to find a good book to read. Ask a friend for a recommendation. Keep track of book titles. Maybe you're reading a bunch of things right now and you have other books in mind. Make sure that you keep track of those that you want to request later on. You don't always have to be requesting things immediately, but maybe in a couple of weeks your reading slows down and you want to request something at that time. Make sure that you have a way that you're keeping track of the books that you want to read. Wanted to point out that if you are searching on our library catalog, just some things to be aware of. If I searched the book title A Long Walk to Water, you'll notice that there is a print book of A Long Walk to Water, there's an audiobook, and there's an ebook. So just be sure to be aware when you are placing a hold that you are placing that hold on the print book and not on the audio or ebook. Take note of the fact that books may be part of a series. If you are reserving or putting a hold on a book and you're placing a hold, say, on this one, Arusha and the Tree of Wishes, you can see here that that is number 3 in the series. Be sure, of course, that you've read books 1 and 2 before you've placed a hold on book number 3. We've had a few students coming down to the library to get a book in a series, and then they've realized, oh shoot, I actually haven't read all the books leading up to that. With some series, it doesn't matter. With most of them, it does. So just take note of that when you are placing a book on hold. If it is a series, take a look and just be sure that you're on the correct number. Last but not least, a reminder to please wait for the Schoology message before stopping down to the library. When you place a book on hold, I know it does pop up on Destiny Discover with an immediate, hold is available message. As soon as you place that little hold and it pops up and says, your book is available, ready for pickup, all that means is that the book is on the shelf. Mrs. Kump is really quick, but like I said here, she isn't a wizard. She's not going to be quite that fast. You will need to give us time, and that's why you're going to wait for the message from Schoology. So please do wait on that message before coming down. Your book isn't ready until you get the message from us in Schoology saying it is ready. Thanks so much for taking time to listen to this book talk. I am enjoying getting to know you as you're stopping down to the library, and happy reading.